press record already.
Hello and welcome to the Reds Report, Barnsley's longest running podcast. And we are proud to be part of the TalkSport Fans Network. One game doesn't make a season, but yesterday it was sort of boom or bust for Barnsley, whether they make it to the playoffs or not. Limping into the playoffs after a 1-1 draw with Northampton, interim coach Martin Devaney's first game in charge. To look over that result, that performance, and any chance we might have against Bolton, with me are two people that you already know, and I know a lot of you are looking forward to listening to rather than to me. So, of course, the knowledgeable one. Ian, mate, how are we doing this evening?
I'm very well, thank you. I've recovered from my night out last night, strolling in it. Quarter to 2
did you get in? Did you go out because we got to the playoffs, Ian?
No.
No, he went out to avoid actually going at match. That's what he went out for.
And the man that's got a fan club of his own. So many, in fact, he is considering starting an OnlyFans. Steve Andrews is with us as well. Steve, how are you?
I'd not even thought about that, funnily enough. There's an idea, isn't there? They'll both be happy then, won't they?
Yeah, I'll subscribe. That gives you 3 viewers.
Oh, that's 3. Hey, get in.
Right, boys, we recorded a reaction program last week episode after the news that Neil Collins had his marching orders from the club, Martin Devaney appointed as interim coach. Since then, obviously, lots of talk about this Austrian bloke that might be coming in. Rumours that he was supposed to be appointed on Monday. We just forgot to check if he had a work visa or not. Whether that's true or not, we probably never will find out. So Martin Devaney, pre-match conference on Thursday, and told the lads, there is absolutely no pressure. There is absolutely no pressure. It is all in your hands. There is no pressure. Let's have a look then. First of all, Ian, lineup-wise, any surprises? Were there anybody that you thought might get a start under the new interim coach, or were you surprised with anybody that started yesterday?
I was hopeful Jallo might have started. But to be fair, I didn't really see any surprise. Well, that right-hand side's not right, is it? It's not good, is it? That right. I mean, Jordan Williams had actually a decent game. But O'Keefe on the right doesn't impress me. Our right-hand side's a bit poor, a bit weak. But I'd like to have seen Jallo start. But no, pretty what I'd expected, to be fair.
Yeah. Steve, before kickoff then, was the result more important than the performance, just to get into the playoffs, or was there more at stake, do you think?
No, we needed a good performance, didn't we? Let's face it, we haven't seen many all season. So, yeah, it would have been nice to get a good performance. And to be honest, first half, I was mildly surprised. I wouldn't have started with that 11. I think I'd have made a couple of changes myself, but seeing as it's not my job, I'll not. And I thought that first half, they actually played quite decent. They looked as though, they got a little bit more energy about them. They got a bit more freedom. And it looked quite entertaining. And then second half started and it just went back to a shit show after that, didn't it? Let's be honest. It was same, boring, drab, pass it sideways, pass it backwards, players that didn't look particularly interested. I noticed when he took Cole off that Cole didn't clap the fans at all. He just walked off.
In fairness, I think they had planned a lap of appreciation after the match. I mean, maybe you still do when you get off, but they were supposed to all come out after the match, weren't they? So,
they were supposed to, but obviously idiots decided they were going to run on pitch.
We're going to talk about that in a minute.
I'm sorry, I'm being a bit premature again. Sorry, love.
You're often premature. Well, Jackie tells us. But anyway, that's it. That's for another show.
You've lost it, haven't you? You've lost it completely. You're laughing at your own jokes. And now you've lost. The show's gone. Show's gone. Club's gone. Board's gone. Manager's gone. We might as well go.
At least we're having a laugh. That first half though, it was difficult, wasn't it? Because Northampton have nothing to play for, and they didn't look very threatening. And in all fairness, when I summarised the first half, All I could remember was really having that one chance which we took, which was a shutter goal. I thought a brilliant ball by Earl to Phillips. Phillips controlled it well, put it on a plate for Herbie Kane. And I said to myself, why don't we play this ball more often? Why don't we? Because, Phillips was extremely quiet, I thought, yesterday, but what he did there obviously worked really, really well. Second half then, come on, Ian, because he talked about there was no pressure. But then after the match, Devaney said a lot of players, they were a bit nervy because they didn't want to be that player that lost the ball or conceded this or conceded that. But that's only going to get worse, isn't it? Because it's playoffs. You know what I mean? When you're 1-0 up, you're at home, you want to put something together. What is it? Was it just scores coming in from other sides? Was it because it's the last match of the season? Did people not want to get injured for the playoffs? Because the second half felt completely different.
Well, I had a nice sleep for 45 minutes in that second half.
Ready for his big
felt
night
better
out.
for it, yeah.
But I don't think people were ducking out tackles. I think it was just both teams just went long and bypassed midfield, and it was just a bit of hoofball from both sides, and there was just no style of substance to us, is there? There's no. It's like they look like 11 strangers again in that second half. It maybe got a little bit nervous because I think Northampton grew into the game. Some of their subs, they seem to manage the subs well, and they grew into the game. Like I said, they had nothing to lose, but they didn't. They wanted to take part as well. But we just almost like the first half. Yeah, there was a bit of intensity. We were doing a bit of a press. Got ahead of steam, but if you ever needed a second goal, it was yesterday, and we just never really got it, and then it just got a bit nervy, but it just poor game, scrappy game in that second half, wasn't it? It wasn't a great watch at all.
Went back to what we've been watching all season. You'd have thought Collins was still in charge because subs made no difference. Even Jallo coming on didn't
there's
really.
There's no service to the front, then, is there? There was
Nothing at all.
I mean, my lad went and he said like there's a guy behind him who did nothing but slate coal all day, which is fair enough. But even Jallo coming on, they can only work with what delivery they get. And there's nobody really. That goal, the goal was a really well worked goal, and like you say, why didn't we go and use that as a platform then to go on and win the game 2 or 3-0? But we just reverted to lumping it high. Forwards getting frustrated, not having much influence in the game. So you change the forwards, but you don't change the problem, do you? Because nobody's giving them any service.
No, it's been like that all season. We know it's been like that all season. Yeah. And same for goal, to be honest, because, I mean, Kane took yellow.
Steve, just before you go to the goal, we had a perfect opportunity to make it 2-0. When Kane reacts on a mistake by that keeper, we're in the penalty area, he squares it to McAtee. If you bet on anybody to just absolutely ladder that ball into the back of the net, it's McAtee, and he placed it, and obviously somebody on the line.
No, I don't like to do this, but I'm going to completely disagree with you there.
I like it.
He likes it. Why didn't Kane hit it? Kane had gone through decent run. He gave it McAtee. McAtee had got 3 players in front of him. What's he supposed to do? They closed him down like that. Kane, he'd only got keeper to beat. Why didn't he leather it? He was one that should have leathered it. He didn't. He passed it back to McAtee, who hadn't got a cat in hell's chance of scoring. Because then they closed it down. It bounced about for 5 minutes, and then it were gone. Yeah. That, to me, sums up Kane's season. Poor decision-making. But he took yellow card, gave free kick away. Fair enough. They were going to break. And then we all stood in 18-yard box, and we watched Northampton lump it into box, and we saw Guy lay it off, and we saw Guy bang it back at net. And everybody just stood there and watched him do it.
I have to say, it's incredible that the free kick was taken inside the Barnsley half. Let's not forget that. It was inside our half. I don't want to point fingers, but I thought, knowing where the Barnsley line was and where all their players were, I thought Roberts were far too far out of his goal. But I'm not a goalkeeper, but having looked back at it, you have to wonder, about his decision making.
Can you imagine if Lincoln had actually got a result, or Blackpool or somebody had actually got a result, and we'd have actually dropped? We were 7th early on, and then obviously the scores changed. But can you imagine what a hammer blow that would have been if on 94th minute we'd have gone out of the playoffs, last minute of the season?
Well, it's the same as what happened at Wembley almost, wasn't it? Like in the 93rd or whatever. Was it Northampton growing into the game with their subs, like Ian says, or did we allow them to do that as well? Because I thought as we got nearer to full time, our confidence, because you think, don't you, I've only got 10 minutes, 8 minutes, 7 minutes. But actually it felt like the pressure were more on them because the silly fouls to give away. And I know Kane did it and he took one for the team and granted. But there is no way somebody should take a free kick from inside our half, deliver it into the box for somebody to head it into the box and then boom in. But
we've watched it all season. Yeah. We've watched that all season. People not taking responsibility, people not actually looking at what they're doing, and just stood waiting basically for somebody else to do it. Yeah. Poor decision making all the way around. Poor play. Poor defending. Keeper, if he were coming out that far, why didn't he go for it? But he shouldn't have come out that. But I don't blame keeper whether they're in the wrong position or not. I blame 5 or 6 Barnsley players stood on 18-yard box. Nobody went to ball. Nobody went to put a challenge in. They all stood and watched him score. Boom, done. Yeah. Thanks very much.
And it's been the tale, like you say, all season where we're almost. It's not like people are outplaying us. We just make either stupid mistakes or we forget the basics of football, which is you defend your goal and you go and try and attack the other goal. And there's very little of it.
Yeah, we've done it recently, haven't we? No disrespect to some of these teams, but Northampton, Charlton, Cambridge, these teams that they're not the top teams, are they, in this league? And they've all got results against us, and we've made mistakes in those games that proved fatal. If we'd have had a run in where we'd have had, I don't know, 3 of the top 6 in the last few weeks, we'd have got took to the cleaners the way we're playing.
Yeah. But 1-1 against Northampton, as it turned out, thanks to Pompey, and obviously other teams as well, we limp into the playoffs in 6th place. That now means we've got a home tie against Bolton on Friday night, and we return to Bolton on, is it the Tuesday after, for the second leg. Is the playoff, Steve, I'll start with you, is the playoff a lottery or does form matter?
That's a good question.
A bit of both.
It is a bit of both. Yeah, it is a bit of course it's a lottery. It's down to it's like a cup tie, isn't it? Anything can happen on the night, on the day. But let's face it, we are not going into playoffs with any sort of confidence, certainly no style, personally no belief. And I don't think the players have belief. And I know for a fact the fans don't have belief. Because Devaney's come in, he's going to take them for a couple of games. Is that not just same old, same old? It could have been Collins that was stood on sideline. So when Collins, pardon?
What can he change?
What can he change?
What needs to change? And I know we need to score more goals and let more in, but what does that mean from a manager's perspective? Is it certain players that need to be dropped? Is it tactics? Is it formation? What is needed, do you think?
You could pick any of them. You can pick any of them. For a start, you need players that want to play for shirt and not that are going to play another 2 games and then bugger off. You want players that want to play for a team. But on the other hand, you've got to have a manager. You've got to have somebody in charge who has a style, who has a purpose. And you look at managers. All right, proper managers like your Klopps and your Guardiolas. They have a style of play. That is their style. But Collins didn't have a style. Devaney's not got a style. Devaney's been in charge 2 or 3 times in interim. And he's always been supposedly that bridge between players and the manager, whoever came in or what have you. But nothing's changed.
In his defence, the last time he was, I think we were already relegated, so it's a difficult job to try and raise motivation. I agree in a way because he talked in his pre-match conference about letting his shackles off, play with freedom, play with flair, no pressure, and I expected us to have visions of Stendhal and Ismail football. High press, quick, aggressive football in their half. Playing a high line, putting them under pressure. And I didn't see. So I'm wondering if that would have tactic, is that then the players not executing what was,
if that's the case, then players haven't done it all season, have they?
But no, that's completely true. And in
as
fairness, what I did see yesterday, which everybody has their own style, whereas Collins did, well, maybe not so much a Blackpool away, but certainly before that, he criticised a lot, shouting at players, why didn't you play it their way? And Devaney seems to be the other way. Devaney clapped when, even if they play the ball up front and it narrowly, it was 3 foot wide or it just a bit too long or too short, but he was still applauding. Like, he seemed to be more of a motivator rather than somebody who points out the negative. But overall, Ian, the football, the performance and everything going into these playoffs, if form doesn't matter, then you have to look at how we play. And then it's easy, isn't it, how you beat Barnsley? You're going to get a goal because we normally gift somebody a goal anyway, and we're not scoring many. So should we be worried for the home tie? Because obviously home first.
Yes. We can't keep clean sheets for love nor money. I've done that all season. Bolton seemed free scoring, which is not a good mix, is it, for us? The one thing I would probably say, and I might be clutching at straws here, is that in the the 5 games I think we played them last year, because we had them in the FA Cup as well as the playoffs, we did all right, apart from that game when Anderson was sent off and we lost 3-0, 3-1, or whatever.
Yeah,
we've had the thing over them. This season we played well at Bolton and should have beaten them. Poor finishing on another day, we'd have scored a couple, but we got a decent point, and then we played really well for half a match against them at Oakwell, and then it all unravelled, didn't it? So we can do it against them, and I think we've got a little bit of. They don't want to play us, even though we're rightly saying our season's going to end by Tuesday. But we seem to. I just hope that we can. And it might be clutching at straws. I just hope we can switch it on like we have done when we've played them in recent times, and this season included, that we have actually played probably our better tactically and some of our better football when we've played Bolton, bizarrely.
According to the bookmakers,
Friday.
According to the bookmakers, Bolton are favourites to get to Wembley, or to be promoted, should I say. 13-8, 15-8 Peterborough, Oxford 4-1, Barnsley 9-2. So if you put £1 on Barnsley, you've lost £1, according to Sky Bet. And the favourites for the final.
Very good, that, mate. I like that one. Well done, mate. Very good.
It's 5-4 for Bolton and Peterborough to meet in the final. 11-4 for Barnsley to meet Peterborough, or Bolton to meet Oxford. And it's 11-2 for Barnsley and Oxford to meet in the final. So is it an advantage for us, Steve, to play at home first and then decide the tie, if you want to call it that, if there's anything to decide, away, given our, except for the month of March, granted, and April, our away form, if we can recover some of that, is it just a case of not losing at Oakwell on Friday?
I think it's trying to keep score to a reasonable deficit on Friday, to be quite honest. I mean, normally you'd like home leg second, because you know what you've got to do and you can do it at home. But considering our home form, I'd rather play both legs away, to be quite honest. But I think the way that it fits now, Friday night, keep it to whatever you can get out of it, and then just hope, like you said, that they'll play at Bolton on Tuesday night and try and recreate some of his better away performances from this season.
Yeah. Somebody said yesterday in the press box, which, because now there is far more at stake than there probably was yesterday. If Barnsley come up against a decent footballing side, they will probably create more chances, because the teams we have been playing, like your Readings and, obviously now Blackpool, fair enough, they were still in it when we played them, but yesterday Northampton, we gave them goals, don't we? So let's hope that playing against the side that probably comes to win and probably wants to win that away tie to go into the second leg with a bit of an advantage. Let's hope we can capitalise on that. Is it Ian? Sorry, do you think? Do the previous home matches and the home form, does that go into on Friday? Or do you think it's a one-off? Cameras are there, it's a Friday night, it's under the lights. Oakwell should be pretty much sold out. I would presume Bolton will sell their away, and then Barnsley will more than likely, sell every stand that is available to them. Often this season, that's gone against us, where the pressure has become too much and they capitulated. How do you think that will go on Friday?
I still think there's a lot of pressure on Bolton to go up. They've spent in their windows this year. They backed Everett. I think the pressure's on them because we've got no expectations, have we? We're nowhere near the side that we were last year, and we know that because of the players that have left, but also the spirit. The spirit was different last season, and the connection between the team and the supporters last season was first class. This season, it's gone the opposite. So I would say the pressure's on them, a bit of reverse psychology, and I think they like to play possession football. And I think I can see us both games having two banks of like 5 and almost just playing on the counter in both games and trying to hit them on the break. And if we can keep in the tie for as long as possible, I think the pressure switches onto them. They're under massive pressure to go. Like say, the favourites to go up, the favourites to get to Wembley, the favourites to go up and do via the playoffs. So I think we've just got. I think the crowd, our crowd as well on Friday's got to be aware we won't have as much of the ball as they will have, and we've just got to persevere and hope that we do take chances on the break and pick them off.
I've got a separate question for you each. Yeah, Steve, yours is first. The players were going to come out yesterday for a lap of appreciation, and everybody stayed in the seat at full time, which was absolutely amazing.
Not everybody did. Some of us went home.
Well, then when the players came out, they started coming from all over to a point where there was almost like a mini pitch invasion with flares. Now, given the season we've had, and we've just limped into the playoffs after drawing 1-1 with Northampton, a team that was 14th and had nothing to play for, a pitch invasion with flares. Just your reaction.
Well, you know what? I've actually got something sensible to say as a first reaction.
Ooh.
Here you go. Have they got into the ground with flares when we're supposed to have stewards and people checking people walking through turnstiles?
That's a matter.
So
it brings the club in disrepute, doesn't it? Because obviously,
you're paying people money to do a job, and you can see them stood outside turnstiles, looking people up and down. I don't know, they're looking for fashion tips or whatever they're looking for. But you know what? You could walk. Let's face it. You could walk in with anything. You could literally walk in. You could put a cow under your arm and walk in. They couldn't care less. Not interested. So you're paying money then for them. All right, and I'm not saying they'll be on mega amounts because they'll not be on basic wage, won't they? But you're still paying them to do a job. Yeah. So that's first thing. How the hell are they getting into the ground with flares?
Yeah.
Secondly, and this is not meant as a detrimental comment, but where I sit, stewards that were at front were a couple of young lasses. Now, I'm not being funny. They're not going to stand up to some pissed up 40-odd-year-old Barnsley supporter that wants to get on that pitch. And neither would I.
You have to remember, though, they can't touch you, can they? Because that could be...
What's the point?
As almost like a mental barrier, like you can't go past.
Mental barrier. She's a young lass. She got lovely hair. She'd obviously done her hair for a match. Blah blah blah. But they're there again, getting paid. But there's no point in.
And yet,
stop anything.
I know.
And yet, having said that, my lad said, because he went and the missus went, and they said they were all over anybody vaping. They were out.
Yeah, I noticed that. I noticed that.
Absolutely took positive action with that.
The thing is, what we all asked doing on pitch. I couldn't believe I saw you all last on pitch. Unbelievable. But no,
she nicked me flares and all. She
is
took
that
me
what it was?
Not
I've seen
themselves.
your flares, mate, on a Saturday night. Yeah,
Well,
I've seen that.
In Pop World.
No, half.
And she had that cow under her arm and all, and got
Yes,
it
she
with cow
did,
on the
that
flare.
cow.
But Steve,
no, you know
so
what?
besides questioning the stewards, and I get your point completely, those people that went on the pitch, I question mentality. I really do, because I think it's great that we're in the playoffs. We've not done anything yet, and after the season we've had and the performance we have to watch, I don't feel it's anything to celebrate just yet. And especially with flares, and then there were loads of people with smaller kids sat in their seats waiting for players to come past. And then obviously it was cancelled because the people on the pitch. I mean,
but this is mentality of a certain group of supporters, and I'm not being funny now, and I'm not singling them out. Every club's got them.
Oh yeah, 100%. Of course,
it's not just our club, so let's not get carried away with that.
Yeah.
But yes, you question the mentality, you question the people who are sat round them, because you know for a fact they'll have been egged on. Go on pitch, go on, run on pitch, you run on pitch, and I'll run on pitch. I saw somebody on Twitter that said, "Oh, my mates ran on, so I ran on with them." What does that tell you?
Well, I know. Right, Ian, yours. At several times during the match yesterday, Martin Devaney gestured to the west end, to the east end, and the Ponty end to raise the atmosphere. At one point, that was greeted with the chant, "We all hate Leeds scum." Now,
and your point is,
I get we don't like people from Leeds. I hate to admit, but it literally and figuratively speaking, they are in a completely different league than us, right? I'd much rather hear, "You are my Barnsley, my only Barnsley," E-I-E-I-O, whatever. But your reaction, you don't even want that. What's your reaction? Does that raise the atmosphere? I find it at times a little bit embarrassing. Like, is that all we can sing?
Yeah, true. But there were quite a few times though in that game that it come across when I was watching it that the crowd was quite vocal at times.
Well, there were times. Yeah, no, there were times, but there were also times
the
Devaney was like
songs and stuff. Yeah, but I don't know. Again, like Steve says, it's like every club, isn't it? If a manager did it anywhere else, sometimes it'd be an anti other club chant, just whatever comes into the head first, isn't it? And quick, and it gets. So I would. It's what it is.
I get it. I just think, doesn't it show that they're a bit obsessed with him? Like, we're drawing 1-1 with Northampton, or we're winning 1-0 against Northampton, and all we can sing about is how we hate the people from Leeds. Anyway, it is what it is. Right.
They could have sung about having 50 pence and buying a flute.
What a classic! What a classic! Is that one of Mick Jagger's? That Andrew Lloyd Webber, something like that? I'm sure it is. Yes.
Okay, Sarah. Right, boys. So apparently, Martin Devaney said in an interview, we'll know more on Monday in regards to whether he's taking charge of the next two matches in this playoff.
Which Monday?
Well, they didn't say a date, but I will presume this Monday coming. Would you like a new manager to take over before the playoffs start, or after the players have finished?
Yeah, new manager bounce. We need it.
Yeah.
Both of them.
But not an Austrian PE teacher.
Well, I heard today, I don't know how true it is, apparently there's some links or people saying we're linked, but this could be Johnny at 12 picking a team from the Sky Sports page and saying we're linked with the MK Dons manager. I mean, I've not been on social media.
Yeah, I've heard that one. Yeah, I've heard that one.
So, I mean, I don't know. Well, Barnsley play Bolton, because we like playing Bolton, us, in the playoff first leg Friday evening. Stephen Andrews, your score prediction, and if there is a Barnsley goal scorer, who might it be?
I think it will be 2-1 to Bolton.
1-2, yeah.
But I think McAtee will score purely and simply because he didn't have a very good game yesterday. And he is the one player that when he has a bad game, it obviously affects him and he wants to come back and play better. And I wish there were a few more like him. But I would go 2-1 McAtee. But I still think Bolton will be too strong for us, especially over two legs.
Ian?
Well, I got the Northampton one right. I just thought I'd mention that 1-1.
Well done, mate. Congratulations. It was you, it's your fault that it was a bloody dire game then, wasn't it? Say 5-0 then, Friday night. 5-0 Barnsley. Come on.
1-1, Adam Phillips.
Wow.
Wow. Wow.
I don't know if that's a wow at 1-1 or a wow at Adam Phillips, to be quite
I
honest.
know, it was just a
wow at 1-1. Because
Wow.
in my head, I see us losing 3-1 and then nicking a last-minute goal. I think we're going to lose, and I think Bolton will score 2 or 3. We'll probably get 1 or 2, but I think we're going to lose. So I'll say 3-2. I don't know why, but I will. And I will go for Herbie Kane because I don't even know why. Because he scored yesterday. Let's put it that way. It's just so difficult, isn't it?
Didn't he?
And
Tell you what, we put all our expertise into these.
We have, haven't we? Aren't we good at this?
I'm going for Kane, and I don't know why.
There's no wonder we've got over 200 listeners, is there? Let's be honest. We do know what we're talking about, us boys.
I'm doing an interview tomorrow morning early with BBC Radio Sheffield for the news. And I just dread it because of course, I enjoy the fact that we're in the playoffs, but I've never felt so discouraged about taking part in them. Because
part of me wishes Lincoln beat Pompey. We won't beat, you know.
It's just, I think we're 18th in the form table. That's like bad, isn't it? Because 4 teams, is it 14 days or 3, have been relegated. Well, they're the ones below us, and then it's us. Like, it's not great, is it? But we have to get behind them because if it takes 12 men to beat Bolton, then we need to be that 12 men. So bring your scarves, your cows, not your flares, your hats, and your flags to Oakwell on Friday evening for that first leg. It is over 2, so if we can avoid a defeat, who knows what will happen. But we'll be back next weekend talking about that match under the lights at Oakwell and that 4-0 win by Barnsley that nobody saw coming. So we'll be back next week. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. You've been watching the Reds Report.
How's that one?
Mooo Reds.
Mooo Reds. Mooo Reds.
Mooo Reds.
You've been watching the Reds Report, proud to be part of the TalkSport Fans Network. Mooo Reds.